right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
It's better to struggle for a more just future than struggle just because the systems in place are against us.
It would have been in the spring of 2010. I was a student at Elizabeth City State University, and flyers went out for DEM Summer 2010.
I started working at Democracy North Carolina because I care about my community and I care about my state. And if we don't care about our state, then it will just waste away. And voting is very important. And if all of us are educated, we can make a difference so it won't be so corrupt.
It was important to focus on youth because youth have always been at the forefront of the movement. I mean, they were at the forefront of the civil rights movement, so many other movements. Young people can and are willing to take a risk. They're at a very important time in their own development, and they can see things with a clarity and an optimism and idealism that needs to be brought to bear. And that was important to keep that movement alive.
Entering my first year of college at UNC Chapel Hill, the East North Carolina Regional Field Director, Mr. Marcus Thompson, reached out to me and was like, "Chris, you have to apply for this internship." And he even told me about it, summers before, even when I was still in high school, to apply for Democracy Summer. So I've always known about it, but I didn't think I would have the time for it, honestly, my first summer after my first year of college. But I applied anyway, and I had the most amazing summer with this organization, and I decided to come back for a second summer.
We know that systemically, in our state, in our country, there are certain populations of people that have been excluded from the political process. People of color, low-wealth people, and that includes young people in many ways. I mean, young people have not only been underrepresented in the political process, but in many ways they've been targeted for exclusion.
Democracy Summer is about empowering students to learn what the foundations of community organizing are, and so you learn about like phone banking and base building and how to get petition signatures and all of that, and then you can take that information with you and those skills and take it back to your campus and your community outside of school.
And welcome here this morning, Monday, June the 10th, to Politics Now with Renee Boston Hill. So happy that you decided to join us. In the studio, we do have Marcus Thompson from Democracy NC. And if you're here in Greenville and Pitt County and all around, you know that he's very active in making sure that we get out there and we get people registered and we vote. So who's also here with you today, Marcus?
So I have the pleasure of introducing my two summer interns, Nikasia and Kenna, who will be with me until the end of July, I believe, and will be helping us to talk about democracy, promote democracy, and especially this For the People campaign that we'll be talking about a little bit later. One of the things that we've been talking about, and I'll let you ladies talk about this, is the restoration of rights of felons. That's part of our For the People campaign.
There are a lot of felons. You can register to vote after you complete all of your sanctions as a felon. Like you complete your probation, you get out of jail. You can register to vote, but it has to be after your probation. Some people, they get out of jail, and then somebody tells them like, "Oh, you have to go vote. Like you have to go exercise your voting right," and then they make that mistake of going to go vote, and then
They're locked up.
yeah, they commit another felony because they go to vote because they don't know. So that's not fair. That misunderstanding, that disconnect, they don't know. You listen to your mom, she's gonna go tell you to vote. Somebody's gonna go tell you to vote because you just got out of jail. So by you not knowing that information and you get another felony, that's another, I don't know, how many years is that, like? I don't know how many years that you're gonna be locked up and you can't vote again.
So this is Awesome Radio 106.9. We're about to go into a break.
stay focused on your message, because you're playing a lot with your hair.
Yeah.
And we don't really want to see his stomach.
Oh yeah, you kind of in the church right now.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that, you know, sometimes your blouse raised and you see the actual stomach.
Oh.
Like on the air. Okay. I mean on your face.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know what to say either because it's like, I guess you're right, but it's not. I'm like,
I don't understand what a measure of hostility is saying.
that's what I'm saying. I didn't even realize that it was out at any point in time. Because if I would have felt it, I would have totally put it up.
Yeah, that was.
I think my biggest frustration is people kind of getting the issue on a one-to-one basis, but then not realizing that it applies in a bigger sense. Like, you know, you'll be talking to people and you're like, hey, do you want to protect early voting? They're like, I love early voting. I vote early all the time because that's the only time I can, because I have kids, I have a job, I'm busy, but I want to be involved, so like I do early voting. And I'm like, awesome, do you want to sign this petition to protect early voting? And they're like, I don't know, I belong to this party and I don't really know if protecting early voting is kind of my thing.
So the biggest frustration for me in the work that we've been doing this summer is trying to get people to care.
My biggest frustration would be trying to inform of people, for example, the petitions to bring back the early Saturday voting. There was a couple of people who were like, you know, I don't vote, I don't get involved in that type of stuff. Like, it's not my job to get, you know, early voting back. Like, I do my part.
Phone calls. Phone banking is tough. It's a lot of dialing and it's a lot of talking and it's a lot of time.
My biggest frustration this summer would probably have to be. Actually, no, I haven't had any frustrations this summer.
Really good to see the nuts and bolts of community organizing. The one-on-ones would be like my particular favorite. So the one-on-one, when done effectively, you get to become a friend and a partner with a leader in the community, and that's how you tap into that community and access the full political power they have.
This democracy and state is not partisan. Right. So, you know, there's an elections and ethics. There's a committee, elections and something else. So in the House we have different committees and like a bill gets referred to the committee. So it may be that. I know Holly Grange is one of the chairs of that. She's a Republican representative from Wilmington. But it might be going to, when they have a committee meeting, like going and seeing what happens in the elections committee would be a good thing too. And so on the North Carolina legislative website, you can see all the committees and when they're going to meet, what bills they're going to be heard. But you know, anything like this would go through that committee, so that would probably be a good connection for you to make too. But I can definitely help you get a meeting. Hi, I'm State Representative Ashton Clemens, and I'm excited to be with Democracy NC today. I wholeheartedly endorse their 5-point For the People plan to expand voting rights and make sure that everyone in North Carolina has a voice in deciding the future of our state. Our democracy only works when each person gets to have a voice, and the 5 points that they have help us strengthen that across our state. And I'm happy to support it and hope I can work with legislators on both sides of the aisle to move it forward in the North Carolina House and Senate. Thanks.
Democracy in the United States is a complicated thing, and it always has been.
Yeah, I mean, and you're focused on voting, but it wasn't. Democracy Summer was not started as a voting rights project. It was a youth empowerment and youth organizing training. Period.
A thing when Martin Luther King was picked to head off the bus boycotts, the thing they said was they don't have their hands on them yet. right? When he was a young guy and they didn't have leverage on him, they didn't have a way of controlling him yet. That's what the youth bring to the table. They don't have their hands on us yet.
I don't know if they're supposed to be giving y'all more of these, because these are like things y'all leave, like y'all are supposed to fill out for each person that y'all meet with. So I'm gonna check and see if y'all are getting more of these. Look at the schedule. The press conference, which Comms is gonna talk more about, is first. And then when you go into like the actual, there's gonna be like where they have, they're gonna bring in some elected officials that people have been talking to. I think like Jen has been like setting up for us, where they're gonna come in and we're gonna have like, they're gonna like say some elected official stuff to us, and then we're gonna have time to like talk back to them.
Ready when you are. Hello everybody, my name is Tyler Walker. I'm a recent graduate of North Carolina Central University.
I am Asia McNeil, and I'm a student leader at Fayetteville State University.
And we are here to say that we support flexible early voting options for the people.
But we're not alone. Even lawmakers have already acknowledged that county boards of elections need more flexibility in setting early voting schedules.
College students you see here today. I'm at the legislature to announce the kickoff of our For the People campaign, a statewide effort to support current legislative proposals that would 1. Reform our state's broken redistricting process, 2. Help more voters cast a ballot without fear, 3. Modernize voter registration, 4. Limit the role of big money in politics, and most importantly 5. Finally restore flexible early voting options just in time for 2020.
Why this whole matter is important for you as a student? To me, this matter is important because as A&T is split between 2 voting districts, and some students, they thought they're in the same district from last year, but they don't know that it's changed. And like some kids now, they have to go off campus to vote, and it causes a bunch of confusion. I think it's kind of surprising that it only happened at A&T. But I think that was really surprising. I don't think it's right.
Miss Linda. So I went and talked to Representative Clemens' assistant, because remember she said that she would be willing to help us get a meeting with John Hardish today. So I'm on the way to John Hardish's assistant to talk about that and see if we can set it up for either today or sometime in July. But I didn't want to step on any toes and mess up the scheduling for today.
So we got 2 options. We could, 1, go meet back up with everybody else and slowly wait for whatever they're doing. Or we could, 2, run up on our own, go find Representative Hardish and see if we can set up a meeting with him today. All right. Looking to hopefully ask John Hardish if he'd be willing to come down to our where the Democracy and Seat people. We came in, we're going to be on the 4th floor in the 405 legislative building. I was hoping he would come down and stop with the rest of the legislators and talk to us.
What is your subject? What are you talking about?
So we're talking about voter expansion, stuff like that, expanding voting rights and stuff.
At what time?
It's going to be happening in about 20 minutes.
Okay.
I know it might be tight schedule.
Yeah, just a little short notice. And this is going to be filmed, looks like.
Yeah, we're doing a larger documentary.
Cool. Oh, well, we'll run it by Wilson, and if he has time, because of the budget and stuff like that right now, we've got to. But if he can make it, he'll make it down there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is also another option. We would really do like to talk to him about this stuff. So if he wants to schedule something, maybe in July.
Sure. Yeah, we can. Yeah, if you want to send somebody,
follow up with you
sometime around.
You want to call her?
I got $10 they won't show. He got up and closed his door.
Harlem and all that.
Heard his name. He was like, oh.
I think anyone in power wants to stay in power. There's that saying, I'm going to say it wrong, but it's like absolute power corrupts absolutely or something like that.
I think in the face of challenges, what kept us going was understanding that even if we lose this time around, there's an opportunity to win in the future. And as we're working on issues, whether we win or lose, we're building relationships with people that will outlast a particular issue campaign or election cycle.
A lot of the stuff that I've learned, I didn't know. And a lot of the people that I was informing didn't know. So I feel like the biggest takeaway is educate yourself, know what's going on around you and in your community.
Obviously, there are enough of us here who understand that this needs to change and that it will change, and that we fight and we toil over this day and night. And the great work that you guys are doing at Democracy North Carolina is a testament to that.
Ooh, wow. If I were to say something to my team and leave an impact, it would be to, I mean, I know this sounds really cliche, but to never give up on their dreams, because each of them are so driven.
I know we're having quite the reunion, and I'm so happy to see so many new, old, so many familiar faces. This is really beautiful to have us all in one place for such a momentous occasion.
The last question is, you have mentored a lot of people through this program. If they were all in a room and you got the chance to say one thing to all of them and have them really hear it, what would it be?
I think I'd want to say I love you and thank you.
I do want to say that the organization has always been a great one. Even throughout the years, resource-wise, relationship-wise, I've always felt a part of a family.
Well, one thing that I did notice is that, you know, at app, when we were trying to get our student IDs to be eligible for voting, we felt like we were on our own with it. If we could unite people in realizing their collective problems and that they're fighting against the same thing, I mean, you wouldn't have, you know, 10 kids here and 20 kids over there and 5 kids over there. You would have, whatever the math of that adds up to be, you would have all of them together working on this collective problem and working to find a solution that works for all of them.